This episode is produced and made possible with the help of Raycast Media.
Si le gustaría escuchar un episodio en español, por favor escuche el siguiente episodio.
Saludos a todos. Hello, everybody. My name is Jose Lopez from EGBI, and I'm here, your host for today on your La Incubadora podcast. So I'm very happy to be here and covering for David, who he had an appointment that he couldn't get out of. So we're making sure that everything runs smoothly and we're going forward. EGBI, it's a nonprofit located here in Austin. And what we do is that we offer training, coaching, and support to aspiring and assisting business owners who faces barriers. And we try to eliminate those barriers. We know that our community has a lot of needs and they have a lot of questions and they need support in several ways. So we have developed or created this La Incubadora podcast to answer some of those questions and try to keep it on a video format so that you can go back to and see and identify some answers to those common questions that every business owner has. It is very nice to know that based on what our clients want, we have identified things like how can we get a business loan. And today, for example, we're going to talk a little bit about credit. And it's an honor to have with us Daniel Bennet from WaFd Bank. Welcome, Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jose. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Daniel, many of our clients usually ask us about what is business credit? How can I get a business credit score? How can I get a loan? How can I get a loan if I don't have a credit? And a lot of things like that. It's very common to hear for some of our people. And today, I'm very grateful to have you here and a person, an expert like you who has been giving a lot to our community. It's like an honor, for you to share some time with us.
Well, the honor is all mine. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you having me. I hope that we can shed some light on some of the topics that we'll talk about today, answer some questions, and take some of the shroud of secrecy away from what it means to be credit ready for business lending.
Definitely. Daniel is a lender from WaFd Bank. He's originally from Musville, Louisiana. Daniel holds a bachelor's degree and also an MBA in management. And he is an example of how commitment and help and passion for the community is. In addition to his financial expertise, he is a visionary advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. He shares the BIPOC ERG on WaFd Bank, chairs the board of a little bit of good nonprofit, and also serves as a secretary for the Austin Centex chapter of the NABA. He also sits in our boards, which is something that we have the privilege to have and enjoy some time. Daniel created Pursuit includes snapshots by Daniel, and where he do storytelling skills shine through photography and videography, adding depth to resonance to his impactful work. He also is recognized for his work of the award-winning film Musville. Oh my gosh, tell us a little bit about this, Daniel.
So my background, obviously it's business, but the film is called Mossville When Great Trees Fall. It was one of my creative pursuits back in 2019. It's about my hometown. It's a small town nestled between Lake Charles and Westlake, Louisiana. We talk about the disparities that the community has faced in the soup bowl of what is surrounded by 14 petrochemical refineries in the area. It can be found on Amazon Prime and various other places, but that is what that film is about.
Oh, so you've been an advocate for your community and also here in Austin, Texas. And
Absolutely.
yeah, Daniel, so please let's go directly into credit readiness. Can you explain what is it, what it means, and especially for someone that has a small business and it's starting?
So one of my favorite things to say about credit in general is take away the mystery, right? What credit means is the same thing that it would mean if it were not related to money and business. Credit just means how much can I trust you? How much can I reasonably expect for you to keep your word and do the things that you say that you're going to do. So what credit readiness means is basically preparing your business for lending purposes. How are you making your business attractive to lenders? How are you creating them having the comfortability of saying, if I give my money to this business owner, how do I know I'm going to get my money back? And you do that by making sure that you show that your business is viable. You're in the right industry. You've done your business plan. You've made sure that your business looks the way a business lender would expect it to look. And that goes by making sure that all of your bills have been paid. You've gotten everything in order and in line correctly. Now, what of those things, we'll go kind of in depth on what those things are, but that can be everything from making sure that you have your business structured correctly, making sure that you have your documents in line. But credit readiness is essentially just making sure that your business is attractive to the lenders.
That's great. That's awesome to hear that you have that lender's look, which is very useful, especially for someone that's starting. If possible, can you give us like a little guide or give us some steps on for a new business owner that he should take for establishing a strong credit foundation or establishing that baseline for his credit?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I like to say is talk to the professionals. You are probably not the first person to ever go into your line of business. One of the things that I always say is talk to a tax professional. One of the things that a tax professional can do for you is make sure that you know how you should structure your business, whether that's a sole proprietorship, a limited liability corporation. Talk to an attorney. They can help you decide what will protect you in the realm of business. And then, of course, talk to bankers. But one of the main things that you need to do is make sure that you have, in fact, established a business entity and separated it from your personal finances. One of the things that I see a lot of business owners do is they commingle the funds and they commingle their business and personal relationship, and it creates murky waters. And that loses attractiveness to lenders because they're uncertain because the business feels and looks uncertain. The other thing that I would suggest is making sure that you get a DUNS number. So the DUNS number is essentially a proprietary number that will allow you to create a business history. So DUNS is with Duns and Bradstreet, and it stands for Data Universal Numbering System. What it does is it allows the lenders to kind of look and see, this is what the business already has, this is what they're doing, and it's just another avenue of making sure that your data and information necessary for that lending is already in existence. Like I mentioned before, making sure that you pay your bills on time. And that's both on the personal side and on the business side if you've already established some business credit. The other thing is, and it's really simple, you can start a business credit card, which is one of the first steps that many business owners need to take in order to start establishing that business credit. So something you should know about that is personal credit is usually used to establish your business credit. So main steps, if I had to bring it down, is always talk to your professionals, talk to your tax advisor, talk to your attorney, talk to your banker, and then make sure that you have establish some separation between your personal and your business credit so that things can start heading in the right direction.
Oh, this is interesting the way you're explaining, because it's like the business credit and also my credit. So expand a little more and explain a little on how does my personal credit score affect my business? Can you go in and tell us about a story or something? Like, how can we interact those two together?
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, you want to make sure that you separate your personal and your business when it comes to all aspects, right? So your business is its own entity. So for the sake of understanding, think of your business as its own person with its own living and breathing attributes, right? And your personal stand separate from it. So your personal credit will always determine, or at least begin to determine, what your business credit looks like, because you are in charge of that business. So in essence, you're acting as a fiduciary for this separate entity in and of itself. So what that looks like is, when you approach a lender, they're going to want to know what your personal credit looks like, because you're the decision maker in the business. They want to make sure if you're handling your personal finances well, it's likely and could reasonably be assumed that you would handle your business finances in a similar nature. So it starts the business credit, but it is not the sole factor, right? Some of the things that could affect your business credit is existing obligations to vendors, existing obligations to other creditors in some form or fashion. So along with requesting your personal credit, you will often be asked for information like bank statements from previous banks or banks in general. And that information will kind of give the lender the information that they will need to see how you're handling your cash flows. All of it goes back to making sure that you're attractive. And I forgot to mention in the other credit, which is major, you want to establish a business checking account. And there are many ways and many banks that offer business checking accounts, but the purpose of that is so that you can show the history of how you're managing your funds. One of the first things that lenders will ask for is bank statements. They want to see, hey, the money that you have coming in, what are you doing with it? How are you using it? How are you managing it? And it's going to kind of resonate well with your personal financial movements.
That's so nice that you let us know a little bit about this. So for someone with limited credit, these factors that you mentioned, like statements, a relationship with the bank, this is also considered in that application. It's like a combination of stuff, right?
Right. So what financial institutions will do is they're going to look at how well you've established yourself before they lend to you. They're going to look at your industry. They're going to consider, is this a viable industry? For instance, the restaurant business is a high turnover business. There are a lot of restaurants that fail. But if you can show the lender that my business has an expectation to thrive, and here is why it will thrive, then they'll be more apt to lend to you. Now, on industries like the medical and healthcare field, it's a mostly more viable industry. It's something that lasts a lot longer in a lot of cases. And so you're able to show more attractiveness to the lender when you're in those types of industries. So they'll consider that. They'll also consider your debt to income. They're going to consider, and debt to income is how much you owe compared to how much you're bringing in, right? That's a pretty simple number. So they'll look at the cash flows. They're going to look at how you're bringing in your money. They're going to look at your financial statements. So it's very important for small business owners to make sure that they're keeping their financial statements in order, from your balance sheets to your income statements to your statement of cash flows. They want to see how the money is moving through your business. And that all comes back to making sure that your credit worthiness looks good to a lender. And it's just, they want to see, how much can I trust this business owner, or at least this decision maker in this business, to be able to return the funds that I put out? Because it's always a situation of ratios and probability, right? You want to make sure that you give the bank or the lender, the most probable chance of getting their funds back. They're also going to look at what expenses that you have, and all of that information is used to kind of come up with an idea of, this is how much you could infuse cash into your business. Also, they want to know what you're using those funds for. Sometimes it's easier to get funds for equipment. Sometimes it's easier to get funds for things that are collateralized rather than an unsecured loan, because there's a way for the lender to be able to recoup their funds in the odd chance that you're unable to fulfill your obligations. But it's always good to prioritize those types of things.
That's nice. So let me talk a little bit to your experience and those pieces of history that you have seen through the time that you've worked as a banker. What do you think might prevent small business owners for applying and preparing for that business credit effectively nowadays? Like what barriers are common for you to see?
So some of the barriers that I've seen to small businesses being able to get started is lack of knowledge. That's the main thing. Not asking the right questions, not seeking the knowledge that they need. But one of the things that I've seen really set someone back is overextending themselves, right? So they will actually get into more liabilities than their income can cover, right? And making sure that you understand your numbers is major, and you can't understand your numbers if you're not keeping your books, right? A lot of times there's no separation between the personal finances and the business finances, and because of that muddled relationship between the two, lenders usually will get away from that type of loan. And also understanding your industry. It is important for you to know who your competitors are. It's important for you to know what can affect your industry, whether that be political, whether that be internal, whether that be outside effects to what your business is. Knowing your business inside and out is going to be the key factor. I like to tell any small business owner that I talk to that your business should matter to you more than it matters to anyone else. We live in a world where people will resonate off of your own confidence. So the more confidence that you have in your business, and the more you can show that your business is a viable business and a business worthy of lending, the more they will. But the barriers I see are really simple. Not having the right documents in place. You may not have your statements or your tax forms from previous years, but it's important to have that ready and available because most lenders will take a holistic approach. It's hard to give a blanketed statement of this works for your business, or what you need is a line of credit, or what you need is an installment loan. It's important to really sit down with your lender and help them understand your situation. Sometimes people feel like they're not able to lend because they haven't been in business for X amount of time. It's not about the time that you've been in business. It's more about, are you capable of lasting through the test of time? And are you capable of returning the funds that you're borrowing?
Oh, that's so interesting. So well placed and explained. Let's break this down a little further, Daniel. I want to give people baby steps. Let's say that I am starting to create my credit, and I want to be able to grow it, right? To start from zero to move it to something. What can I do to start? What tools are there, or what's the process like recommended on your experience?
So I would say the first step, if you're starting from scratch, is make sure you establish a business account, right? A business checking account is a great way to start. Again, because one of the first things that's asked for is going to be your bank statements. The next thing I would do after establishing that would be to establish a business credit card. It's a great and easy way to get your business credit started. And again, it's based off of your personal initially, but it will start to report to creditors that your business does have active credit, right? So moving from there, it's determining what your needs are for credit, because the best financing method for any business is going to be bootstrapping, right? Making sure that you're bringing in the money yourself. If you're making enough revenue, you don't need lending. Sometimes lending can just solve small problems. So after you've established that business credit through the business credit card, one of the next thing that business owners I find need often are business lines of credit to kind of float either payroll or purchase orders and those types of things. And the main way to make sure that you're attractive enough to a lender for that is to just make sure that you're meeting your obligations. If you are scheduled to pay a certain amount at a certain time, make sure you do that. If you have vendors that you have net 30, net 90 that you need to pay, make sure that you're paying at the times that you're supposed to be paying. It's just important to make sure that you're managing it. And so the greatest things about personal business credit is it's very, very similar to personal credit. So the same things that you would do to establish personal credit, you'll want to do for your business. Again, think of it as though it's its own individual, right? And making sure that you keep your credit utilization to a lower percentage. Obviously, 30 is the number that we usually aim for, but you can try to keep it as low as 10 or 0 if at all possible. But the idea is to make sure that you're paying the way you say that you're going to pay and only using the credit you need. A lot of people overextend themselves when it comes to business credit, thinking that the more the merrier, but that is not an attractive thing to be in a lot of business debt.
Oh yes, definitely. Like they have to be very wise and manage it properly. Definitely. So, Daniel, uh, how can you help the community? How can WaFd provide this services that you mentioned? Do you provide them all? Some of them? Tell me a little bit more about this.
So WaFd's a great avenue, and the greatest part is I work with a team of individuals. It's not just me. I work with our commercial director. His name is Jeremiah Bush. Our community business banker, Micah Clements, and then we have our personal bankers, Rashonda Irons, and we also have Lizeth Perez. And we're able to help because we sit down, and it's more than just offering you a product. It's more than just offering you a service. We want to get to know your business. The idea is to know the ins and outs of what you do on a daily basis. What are the things that are keeping you up at night? We want to know what your plans are for the future, how you're already managing your money. And we offer financial literacy. Of course, we partner with EGBI, one of my favorite organizations. We can help with all sorts of things. And then there's also resources outside of us, like the Small Business Administration, where they have a wealth of information. And there's all sorts of tools that we use to help you get acclimated. We also have a free business checking account, which is very low barrier for startup businesses. So there's all kinds of tools and things that we use to make sure that we get a full picture before we make any recommendations. And it's free to talk to us, right? That's the big thing. I've actually talked to people, and I've learned that people think that there's a cost just to talk to a banker. Stop in. We'll talk to you free. There's no need for you to feel pressured or obligated to open or do any kind of business with us. Obviously, we wish you would, but the idea is to just help the community, which is why we work with organizations like EGBI to make sure that the community has the knowledge that they need. They have the tools available to them, the resources, the people. But it's a great thing. And it's not hard to get in touch with us. When you call the phone, you'll get a human. You're not going to get an automated system, but we offer all sorts of tools to help you with any of your business needs.
That's awesome. Thank you, Daniel, for being with us today. We really appreciate your time and your experience. You're very well versed and you know a lot about this. So you are an asset to the community, and we are very grateful for having you here and have you on our side. So just to our friends that are listening, this episode is produced by and supported by Raycast Media. And a huge shout out to Raycast Media for helping us and making this partnership a reality to make sure that the La Incubadora podcast is floating and it's happening. So just wanted to appreciate your time, and always remember that we are here as the Economic Growth Business Incubator to support the community and help you. Just let us know, and if you would like to schedule an appointment with one of our coaches or get some training coming, like getting to some training and enroll into our classes, you're more than welcome. Please follow us in social media and visit our website for events. See you all soon. Thank you, Daniel, for being here.
Thank you.